Okay, let's look at the various roof planes. So what I have here is a schematic view of this hip roof over here, right? We've got our commons coming out at 90 degrees. In fact, I can measure that out. We've got 90 degrees from there to there. We've got 45 degrees for our hips. And down here, I've drawn all of these lines intersecting. That's the absolute center of where all of those lines intersect. And the way I've drawn them up here is, if you could imagine the beams there, we've got the ridge. Make the ridge a different color. And then we've got our two commons and our third common bumping into the ridge, and then our hips in between those. So our basic hip geometry, and what I want to look at are the various ways that all of these different sides have to plane in. So the first thing we're going to look at is on an end here. So just so you can see what I've done, I've just rotated around. So we're looking at the end of a hip. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off some of the sheathing here. And then I'm going to rotate a little bit more. And see if you can see it. Yeah. I'm going to zoom in. So when we have our sheathing, the sheathing comes along our commons and our jacks and meets right in the middle of that hip. Now, the way we are going to do our hips, there's just going to be air under there, and that ends up being like 1/4 of an inch or 3/16. It's not a whole lot. That's fine. This gets covered with shingles. Sometimes there's venting there. It doesn't matter. On bigger beams, sometimes the beam is beveled. To fill in that area, the beam would have to be a little bit bigger. But this is the roof plane. So we want to make sure that the jacks are in plane with that outside edge of the hip. And then also, if we look up here at the top, right, here's where our hip nestles into our commons, so that our sheathing can come up over the edge of the hip here and meet in the middle. And again, this is something you do when you go to install the hip. You flush it to that side and to that side. Let's see if we get a better view of that. Yep. So here are the various roof planes. Right. The main one, this is the same for a gable roof. You can see right there on the end. Here's our ridge. And we need to have this plane come all the way up. So we accomplish that by flushing the very top edge of the common with the top of the ridge. And then the hips are different. The hips, we're going for either edge to flush with the common on either side of those. So again, when you're installing these are key planes to keep in mind. And I'll turn the end back on, because what we're really concerned about is all of these roof planes being nice and flat. So you should be able to put a straight edge over all of these rafters, and there should only be at most 1/8 of an inch difference in height. So you're going for flat, as flat as you can get it.